From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter show about Star Wars pop culture, the ultimate adventure, big breaking news while you're at lunch. Big episode today. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and just as I sat down to begin this live stream, my ring light died. So currently, I have my blue light from the side, and then the sun. Probably as we record, the sun from outside is slowly going to go down, and things will get darker, which I don't want anyone to take as an actual omen. I'm feeling very hopeful today.
Hopeful indeed. Big show. We're normally live here on Fridays, 2 o'clock at the Pacific time zone, where Joseph and I and Jennifer reside. Jennifer, of course, sends her regards here on a Friday. We normally love taking your calls. That includes your faces on the screen with us today. A little bit different. We got perhaps the biggest Star Wars news story in a very, very long time. We'll talk about that. We are also want to hear your thoughts on it, but we'll take those via questions and hopefully via super chats, because this was already planned to be, but this is a charity stream. Joseph's going to take you through what that truly means. And we have in the links down below here on YouTube in the live chat links as well. We'll explain what that is. But Joseph, this is exciting. This is a great opportunity to talk about a big story, talk about an important story, but also align with our hearts and the purpose of I think Star Wars overall, helping the galaxy.
Yes. So I had talked to Ken about, hey, could we do a charity live stream to help out with everything that's going on in Minnesota? And he was like, sure. And then we were at lunch yesterday talking about getting everything kind of sorted out for ForceCenter going forward for a little while. And the news about Kathleen Kennedy broke while we were sitting there enjoying our cheese bread toast. So we decided, like, you know what? Why not? We are going to talk about the big news, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. This is huge. Kathleen Kennedy leaving, Dave Filoni and Lynwen Brennan taking over. Huge. And we're going to talk about it. And we would love your questions about it and your comments about it. But we would also love your super chats. Any super chat that we get today, we are going to give all the money that we get from that to 2 specific organizations. And I will tell you a little bit more about what those organizations are. Anything else from you, Ken, before I launch into that?
Yeah, no, and we're excited to talk about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is a big story. I mean, I would argue up top, you want the big headline. I think this is the biggest story since the sale in 2012, and it's something that's been long in the works, which Kathleen Kennedy has made clear in interviews that have come out since. This was a couple years in the making, and we'll get to all that. So we're happy to talk about it. We want to hear your thoughts. Like I said, please, questions, comments, giving thanks to Kathy for all the work. If you say, hey, there's some things I didn't like, and maybe I'm looking forward to this change, that's good too. We want to be clear about that. We will say, I've already banned one person before the show even started. We know the history of the discourse around Kathleen Kennedy as the Lucasfilm president. And we are all, I hope, smart enough. This is going to be a fun stream. This is a hopeful stream. But I'll start a little stringent here. We're all smart enough to know what comments and what statements in the chats are not in good faith, and a little bit more swift on the old ban hammer today. Our core Star Wars ForceCenter audience, you're on board with us. You're here for the entire 360-degree conversation around this news story. But I've just kind of been exhausted about it. You know, you as well, Joseph, but exhausted about the discourse around her for over a decade, quite frankly. Most of it. Even some of the people you think are approaching it with good faith aren't. And today's not the day for that. But just want to put that out there. But that's the, the business side of it here. But we're excited to talk about this here. But Joseph, I'm going to set you up here to explain really what we're here for today. We're happy to be here for this, even though we're not happy that we need to be here. But Joseph, go for it right here.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I was clear on what I was saying, so I wrote up some information and some thoughts. So today on the live stream, if you give us a super chat, we are raising funds for 2 organizations in Minnesota. One is collecting free food for anyone in need, and one is providing legal counsel for immigrants. And the first organization is called Community Aid Network Minnesota, and here's some info from their website. Community Aid Network Minnesota serves between 200 to 300 families each week with free food, diapers, and supplies, distributing 1,000 items every distribution day. Our mission is to organize volunteers, redistribute resources, build mutual aid bonds with our neighbors, and ensure everyone has the means for a dignified survival. Our vision is to remove barriers between those giving and receiving aid, promote self-reliance and long-term resilience in our community. So mutual aid groups like this are helping in the moment of getting food to people who can't go to work because they are afraid of being terrorized. And also this organization will continue to do good for anyone in need. The second organization is Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, and this is the information from their website. The Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota is a nonprofit organization that provides free immigration legal representation to low-income immigrants and refugees in Minnesota and North Dakota. ILCM also works to educate the community about immigration matters and advocates for public policies which respect the universal human rights of immigrants. So this is an organization that is very well vetted. I have friends who have worked directly with them, and they will help with legal matters, both now during the crisis and in the future when the crisis hopefully resolves. But I also want to talk to you a little bit about, why we're doing this live stream. It's not just to raise charity. It is also to raise awareness for the situation in Minnesota. I think a lot of people listening or watching are probably very well aware, but maybe some aren't because we're all very busy and there's a lot going on. A lot of the news reports about what's going on in Minnesota, they cover an isolated incident, or they're kind of clinical and distant from communicating the scope of human suffering in Minnesota. And at their worst, the news reports simply repeat blatant lies of the Trump administration, not opinions, provable lies. ICE is not in Minnesota to calmly, legally question or detain undocumented immigrants. They are waging a terror campaign against the entire state. They are grabbing brown and black people off the streets with no due process. Even immigrants who have their papers and show them to ICE have been detained. Immigrants have begged to be able to show their papers to ICE and still been detained. U.S. citizens who are legally filming ICE are being grabbed and assaulted, beaten. Families in cars who are just not moving fast enough to get out of ICE's way are being assaulted. A flash bang grenade was thrown at a car with a 6-month-old infant inside. ICE agents are surrounding daycares and churches. They are going door to door, again with no warrants, demanding that residents tell them where immigrants live, and in some cases, looking for specific ethnic or cultural groups and asking them, hey, where are these kinds of people? We want to get them. This sounds like hyperbole, and I think that's what makes it hard to fully accept. But if you've ever read The Diary of Anne Frank, those are the kinds of actions that are happening. People are being assaulted, kidnapped, harassed, murdered, and others are having to hide vulnerable people in their homes for their own safety. And in response to this terror, Minnesotans have been banding together. They are providing aid. They are sharing food. They're walking neighbors to their car or their home or their job. They are documenting crimes with their phones so ICE can be held accountable. And the people of Minnesota are holding peaceful protests. And it's all different kinds of people coming together. On a live stream, I saw this old hippie woman who is dressed as a clown, jumping up and down with a protest sign. Yesterday, there was a group of clergy singing in the corporate offices of Target, demanding to be heard. There are outraged dudes from the suburbs who have never attended a protest in their life, rushing in to help folks that they have never met. And yes, if you've seen the videos, the people of Minnesota are also swearing a lot. There are some foul-mouthed videos out there, and Minnesota in general, it's not a big swearing place, but it's a sign that the people are angry. They are expressing it verbally. They are using humor to push back against fascism. There's the famous Mr. Rogers quote that when you see something horrible, you should also look for the helpers. And right now, Minnesota is full of brave, foul-mouthed helpers. Everyone from clowns to clergy are out there trying to defend their neighbors. And I know I'm taking a little bit of time with this. I know I'm probably telling some people things that they already know, but this is very personal for me because I grew up in Minnesota. My father lives in North Minneapolis. It's where I stay every time I visit. He lives a half a mile from where I shot an Immigrant this Wednesday, January 14th. My wife and I owned a house 10 blocks from where ICE murdered Renee Good. So I worry for my friends and my family and my community. When I hear that there's a shooting, I'm outraged and I wonder if it's someone I love. And I have to stop what I'm doing to make sure it's not someone I love. But it is someone who has been pointlessly injured, so it matters to me. It's personal. And I think it should be personal for everyone who wants to live in a democracy. Everyone who wants to live in a democracy that is free of pointless terror and cruelty. So if you can, and you're willing, I encourage you to call your reps in Congress, Democrat or Republican or independent, and let them know that you see what's really going on in Minnesota and you demand that they take action to end this lawless siege on an American state. And I'm focusing on Minnesota because it is where this experiment in a huge siege is happening, but it's also happening here in Los Angeles. I know it's happening in many other places, and it will probably happen other places soon too. So this really is something that I think affects all of us. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Ken, for giving me this time. And I look forward to getting back to talking about Star Wars.
No, much love, buddy, and well said as always. And it's like I said up top. It's just a bummer that we have to say these things, but it's important to not just stand up, not just shine a light. But one of the things you talked about is highlighting of what is actually going on versus not with the narratives that are out there by those in power, which are false. But I think how it's sometimes just received if it's not in your neighborhood, it's just the wheels turning of life, right? Mm-hmm. This is right. Yeah, they're fighting there. We'll launch some tear gas. I've seen this play before. This is part of something bigger. Part of something that is not slowing down, and part of something that will affect you somewhere. As you're talking, I'm seeing messages of ICE on the move in Silver Lake, Echo Park, and other places in Los Angeles. We know that Maine is now perhaps the next spot as well. So, yeah. So this is obviously a little part, but it's an important part. We truly believe here in Star Wars that there are more of us. So we're happy to shine a light on these charities. And again, no pressure to donate, no pressure to directly donate. We also know that all of us are going through it too. Mm-hmm. I was just complaining on a show today. I bought some oatmeal. They only have 5 packets instead of 6, but the price is more. We're all dealing with it. So we appreciate you just being here, spreading the word. But if you can, donations. And as Joseph said, everything that we receive today will go split evenly to these 2 charities. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. And we got one of the biggest Star Wars stories in the world. So Joseph, let's just start nice and calm, and slow. You and I. Now that this has been rumored for a couple weeks, this has also been rumored for a couple years. This is not even rumored. This has been discussed. Kathleen Kennedy gave an interview not too long ago. Yeah. The rumors of my demise are too soon. It's on the way. So not a surprise, but yet you and I were enjoying a succulent meal. What's the crime? A succulent smokehouse meal. We were at one of our shared favorite restaurants, Smokehouse, having a ForceCenter meeting, looking ahead to 2026. We're very excited for this coming year in Star Wars and ForceCenter. You and I ordered an abomination of meals. We both got what they do at lunch, where they offer you a cheeseburger on 2 loaves of the famous garlic bread. And you and I were having trouble eating it, but we got through it, kind of. When the news broke. So I kind of know your reaction, but let's start with first reactions of a burger in your mouth, a Deadline article in your hand.
Yeah, it was heavy, the burger and the news. In some ways, it was interesting because the news has been expected for so long, and I think there is like a rush to like, well, what does this mean for Star Wars? And it'll take a little while for it to play out. I think what it means for Star Wars, like the next big decision that might be different. But my immediate reactions are happiness for Kathleen Kennedy, that she had a long and, in my opinion, very good tenure And also I love her spirit of like, hey, I'm not retiring. I'm going to make movies until I'm in the grave. I'm just going to go back to producing individual films. So I'm also kind of excited for us outside of Star Wars to see what else does she produce. So there's the excitement there. And then there was the excitement for me of like, I am excited for Dave Filoni. I think he makes a ton of sense, and excited to get to know the co-head that I was not super familiar with, Lynwen Brennan. Been reading up a little bit on her. So excited for Kathleen Kennedy, excited for Dave Filoni and Lynwen Brennan, and excited to talk with everybody about the future.
Yeah, right there with you. It's my advancing years. I won't say your years are advancing, Joseph, but sometimes I think often now as I approach a big number in my life of I don't ever want to stop creating. And maybe I wish I had a job I could retire from, but her stepping down and going, yeah, I ain't done.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank and I are gonna, he's been doing interesting stuff, the docuseries stuff. Like maybe we'll get a second part of the Bee Gees doc. I don't know. I just big fan of her. Wide, long list of work. And excited to see what she can do outside of Star Wars, and excited to see, she's still got her hand guiding 2 films, taking that to the finish line, and kind of saying, hey, yeah, they have my number. I'll be around if anything else comes up. We'll talk more of the details of that. I'm happy for her. We'll maybe talk more about that as well, about what she did for us as Star Wars fans. But there's a part of me, I have to admit, to be honest, when the news finally broke, and again, it had been rumored, and Scooper's going to scoop and all that stuff. When you and I are staring at an official article, StarWars.com released it, then Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, I was like, you know what? Good. Fine. Like, not good like she's out, but good.
Yeah.
Good. We're here. Like, we're here, right? Sometimes there's nothing worse than the anticipation of big change. And we're here. The news cycle is already kind of exhausting. In fact, I want to shout out our friend Molly is in chat. I'm sure Alex is lurking as he does. He's a lurker, that Alex. And later in the day after our lunch, I texted both of them. I said, I don't know if I have the energy for this current Star Wars news cycle discourse. And they sent me back a wonderful picture of them with beers in their hand out at a bar. And they said, what news cycle? And that's kind of where I'm at of let's just get to it. In terms of the choice, my overall thought, again, this made sense. This has been talked about as well. For a long time, I thought the bet was going to be, if I was on one of those apps where you can now bet every aspect of your life away, I would have said Filoni and Carrie Beck. But Lynwen Brennan, as Molly pointed out in one of her posts, Lynwen Brennan predates Dave as a Lucasfilm employee. 1999, oversaw as a general manager at ILM, moved over to Lucasfilm. And Kathy says in that Deadline interview, has been running things with me for a couple years now. This is what is the smoothest of transitions. I have some thoughts on how this might actually work later on. It's also of the era we're in. You and I were talking at lunch. We've said on shows before of Kathleen Kennedy is probably one of the last studio heads as a character, as a personality, as a persona, as someone with the weight and the resume to go in a room and go, Bob, you might win this argument, but I think your sweater's stupid and you made a mistake. Like that's a golden age that we are moving past, for better or worse. And Dave and Lynwen represent a new way of kind of like, not new way like it's revolutionary, but like, yeah, you're not going to have the one maybe anymore. You might have a few, and then they answer to a one, and they answer to shareholders, and there's the dark side of that. But in terms of just the names, really excited for what they can do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I got a couple quick thoughts here because I definitely want to get to some people's thoughts and questions as well. But, I think a part of their job in many parts of the job, but one of them is kind of being the face of the company, being a personality. And Dave has a lot of experience at that, and he's good at that as well as the creative stuff. And then I did wonder about Lynwen Brennan because I was not familiar with her. But then I did look up her bio on Lucasfilm. And one of the things that jumped out to me is in 2016, Brennan was awarded Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And I felt that meme in my heart of the, like, I apologize. I was not familiar with your game. Like, this is not like I'm a 32-year-old business major who's been here for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like somebody, some rando from LinkedIn. This is someone who has been with the company for a long time and has an incredibly impressive resume that isn't just business. It's about visual effects, a long time involved with visual effects industry, honorary degrees in looked like one of them was about music. I might be getting that one wrong because I'm scrolling fast. My point is, I'm excited to get to meet her in maybe it is Dave is the face, but maybe it's the two of them that are the face, and that's really interesting.
Yeah. I was thinking, she's kind of in that position of, if you don't hear from her, that probably means she's doing a good job, but that was the past. This might not need to be. I think we're going to want to see her come out on stage at Star Wars Celebration 2027. I would even say it's needed. And that this is now a two-person operation with many thousands, if not thousands upon thousands of people with them. But Kathy was always out there. That was one of the things I admire about her, and it's part of what we're talking about, a persona and a personality and a presence. So let's see. Yeah, let's not assume she's just going to be checking the books and going home at 5. Let's get her there. Let's get her. Yeah. She obviously has been there so long that she's got a passion for what they do there as a company. And final big note for me on this little section too. I love. Thoughts on Davis' side, if people's got them, we're always going to have those discussions. I got some questions too. Sure, great. But Dave and Lynwen Brennan, two longtime employees. You and I just did that news story with Jennifer about Ben Burt getting his 50th anniversary pin, his Jelly of the Month Club award. This is in a world of big corporate takeovers and problematic people at the top, nefarious people at the top, and we still have to deal with that, and they're still going to have to deal with that. But there's something I like about two former Skywalker ranchers, showing up there and working their way to the top. That is something that I find comforting and nice in these times as well.
Indeed. And then I want to say my little Star Wars Explained Alex and Molly story. So as I was getting ready in the last few minutes before we went on air, checked social media, and it popped up that Alex had done this video about the article, the interview that Kathleen Kennedy gave to Deadline, which I honestly have not had a chance to read. So it's great. How long is Alex's video? So I was feverishly watching Alex's video right before we went on air. So all I know is the quotes that Kathleen Kennedy gave about discussing that when she got the job, she was encouraged by Bob Iger to be bold, and that she feels like maybe that isn't the sentiment anymore. Went down and listed all of the various scripts that are finished, but maybe the company, the corporation, is not in the mood to take risks. Alex did a great video about it. We will probably talk more about it, but that's definitely on my mind as we get into this, of sort of this is a new era, and we'll get to know these two new leaders. But also, there's going to be this sort of Star Wars-like battle for, do we take risks? Do we listen to the rigid numbers, or do we trust our gut and our instinct and go for something bolder? We'll probably talk more about that interview once I've had a chance to actually read it. But I think that was fascinating. It was really fascinating for Kathleen Kennedy to be like, not actually already gone yet. I only have one foot out the door, but here's what I really effing think. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite parts of the interview, indeed. Also, she gave kind of a rundown of status updates on the projects, and quietly kind of talked about this with our buddy Alden Diaz, kind of quietly promoted the Soderbergh's Hunt for Ben Solo thing to back burner, from it's done and never will exist to back burner. That's kind of huge. That's kind of a oh yeah, they made the roster, they're just not playing on the game Sunday kind of announcement. But I liked the truth of what she said, and it's something I don't think is a surprise to us in covering it. It's not even about the Star Wars stories that have been out in the public. I think they have taken big chances when they can, but it is kind of this frustrating world that, I would think we'd argue, studios in the 70s, George Lucas will tell you that when dishwashing companies started buying movie studios, dishwashing machine companies, we had maybe a change in what the art was, but there was always those to fight it. I think they've succeeded under the constraints that they've had, but just hearing like our big Jim Mangold and Beau Willimon wrote a great script. I don't know if it's going to happen. Was their kind of attitude. Like, I don't know. It might scare anyone in a cardigan sweater in an office off Buena Vista and Riverside. I liked it. I want more of that from Kathy.
It was the somehow Ben Solo might return interview, along with some other things that we can talk about. Is the Kinberg trilogy now the Rey New Jedi Order film? Because then that wasn't mentioned. Anyway, yeah, lot to talk about.
Side funny note, there was 2 moments I laughed out loud. I'm sure they're all chatting. But what if you're Simon Kinberg getting the morning paper and you're reading the interview? You're like, I turned that draft in of that first script. Oh, she said it was okay. It was okay. Damn it. God damn it.
A 70-page treatment. Like, wow. Yeah. Anyway, we should take a look at some of these nice questions and these nice super chats.
Yeah, and for those that are just joining in, this is a charity stream today. As Joseph said up top, we got 2 charities we're highlighting, doing great, important work and needed work on the ground in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And one day I'll learn all the neighborhoods there, Joseph, because I do kind of get confused. So we appreciate already a very generous and impressive amount of super chats. All proceeds today going to those 2 charities. But anything that jumps out to you, Joseph, I'm going to start pulling it as well. We have a lot here.
Yeah. I just want to go toward the top here and grab some of the super chats. We got this one here from Mike Jornlin. It says, thanks for all your work. Thank you, Mike. Very appreciated. We got this from Professor of Smart Things. Thank you, Kathleen Kennedy, for giving me a chance to finally see myself as a Jedi. Can't wait to see what this next chapter brings. Thank you very, very much. Very kind and very agreed. Got one that's a question here. Do you want to do a question, Ken?
Yeah, let's question it up.
All right, this one comes to us from Joel Davis. Thank you very much for the super chat, Joel. Joel says, do you ever think the Filoni hate I've seen comes from envy, being the Star Wars super nerd who kind of made it while others have? I assume Joel might mean have not. Yeah, and this is one of those, if this ain't you, then I'm not talking about you kind of statements. Do you know what I mean?
You said that like a street tough, and I loved it. It ain't you, I ain't talking about you, all right?
my Ben Grimm impression. But you know what I mean? That thing where like you say something and everybody's like, well, I don't believe that. Well, if you don't believe that, then I'm not talking about you. I do think I'll speak for myself. When I'm growing up, George Lucas is a magical, far away, older than me, existed as long as the trees and the earth and the wind. Like, he's not a real adult. He's a god in a kid's eyes, right? And then you grow up and you realize, oh, he's just a human who made this. And then when humans the same age as you get to do it, some of that magic goes away, and it's just a human. Any human can make Star Wars. I'm a human. Why aren't I making Star Wars? And I do think that there is sometimes that can happen entirely, but also, hey, I was dressed up as Kit Fisto in the same line that Filoni was dressed up as Plo Koon. And That's me. Or people like, I was, an animation supervisor on SpongeBob, and like my life isn't that far from Filoni, and yet he's the one. Like, life's like that, He got the opportunity and he ran with it, and I do think sometimes that it can be hard to separate sort of your personal feelings from your analysis of the art.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, if you're talking about Star Wars on a podcast or YouTube, I think this could factor into it. As Joseph said, I think there's something, sorry, a lot of sports references today, but there's a weird point in your life if you're a sports fan where that young rookie retires, becomes a manager, and you're still older than him, and you're just like, managers were those old crusty dudes that had retired years ago. It messes with you a little bit, and I think seeing other people getting the chance to do it, even if maybe you had some dreams, I think it's no small fact that often some of the bigger grifters in our world politically, not just talking about Star Wars, but some of the biggest grifters in our world politically are failed artists. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. And I think there's some of that too. I have seen, and Joseph and I and Jennifer, because we live in LA, because we do this, we always love to dance up to the names. I will never reveal the names. Joseph, you and I were at lunch yesterday in a restaurant where we looked around. We're like, is anyone else? Like, I was going to have to pull a John Beard from Arrested Development. I'm part of the story. I'm part of the story. I'm part of the story.
We were scanning for Dave's hat to make sure he wasn't there.
We were scanning for, was there going to be like a cake with a candle delivered to a table that had Dave and Lynwen at it? Because we were across the street almost from Disney. We're around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And there was two writers talking about Star Wars yesterday that you and I were like, anyways, to this question, I have seen from folks in this town, in this industry, functioning at a high level, award-winning levels, who know him, I'm talking specifically about Dave here, know him, been around Dave, have worked on Star Wars things, and there is a sense of we don't like that guy because he gets to do this. And then that kind of fuels a lot of the talk around him on that level. That doesn't necessarily filter down into YouTube land, but it's a very real thing. So, and all reports, you don't get a lot of, well, here's the truth about Dave. They're all generally, Dave's a nice guy. Like there's all generally that stuff. Doesn't mean his decisions are going to be perfect. All his skill sets are perfect. But I think just in terms of Dave, to your question, Joel, possibly. All that to say, possibly.
And I gotta love the given £2 to make this good joke. Where James Holmes says, "I'd love to see Filoni's take on SpongeBob." To be fair, that's great. That's great, and thank you for the super chat.
That's how far. But I have friends who worked on SpongeBob, and Dave worked next. I have people that know Dave from 2002 when they were on SpongeBob. So that's how far some of this stuff goes back here in town. All right, keep going here. Of this. Good evening. Mainly here for Kathleen Kennedy's interview. Missed it out the obvious. So let's get cracking on a droid story discussion and theories. Yes,
that's right. They
a droid story, please.
Announced that a while back, right?
On Investor Day, on that famous Investor Day.
Oh,
Indeed.
yes.
Indeed.
Not many people survived the beaches of Investors Day.
Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on this one here from our buddy and the man behind Midnight Nast, the YouTube channel, Brian Ward, saying, hearing that movies aren't happening because they're bold and the studios are afraid of taking chances doesn't exactly get me hyped for the two movies they did get to make. I understand that. I wouldn't even call that cynical. I understand that we got Mandalorian Grogu with a lot of talk around it being, maybe Uncle Bob coming back and saying, do this. I'm personally very excited for Starfighter, but I know that's not necessarily shared across the board for many reasons. When you look at the two films coming through eventually to us, Joseph, this year next, do you have any worry about that? Do you understand where Brian's coming from? Which I do.
I do. And I think, we talk about there's the show in the business. There's the art and the safety. I have faith in the artists who are making these movies. I think Mando and Grogu is going to be great because I really trust Jon Favreau in the whole creative team behind it, and Dave Filoni, who's also involved in it. But I do think that there's a good chance that Bob Iger came in and said, we need a Star Wars movie in the theaters. We've got a director with a great track record. We've got two of the most popular, recognizable, marketable characters that Star Wars has ever had in Din and Grogu. Just do the movie. I think that the genesis of it might have been business, but that doesn't mean that Jon Favreau isn't going to do everything he can to make it beautiful, soulful art. And kind of feel generally the same way about Starfighter. I feel like those movies got a chance because there are people with track records, and since, hey, we're just letting it all hang out today, I think is also that it's two white dudes behind the helm probably made them feel safer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Facts behind that there as well. So great stuff, Brian, there. Thank you for some super chats coming in here, supporting the cause. Thank you, Oliver from Minnesota, for Light and Life. Johnny Starlight, saw him recently out there in the mean streets of Burbank. Thanks to Kennedy for helping create a rebirth for Star Wars and bringing so many new fans to the galaxy. And thank you, guys, for the charity stream. There are more of us. It's absolute no-brainer for us here. And for those just joining us, some numbers popped up. We're not just talking about the big news. We want your questions. Get them in here about Kathleen Kennedy stepping down as president of Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni, Lynwen, Brennan taking over. Effective immediately. I think they're changing the names on the parking spots today. It's a immediate thing. But this is also a charity stream for two fine organizations. Joseph, if you want to reset the names, the links are here. But we're also taking your super chats. Two great organizations on the ground in Minnesota, helping as that city remains under siege.
That's right. The first one is Community Aid Network Minnesota, and that is an organization that collects and distributes free food, diapers, basic life supplies to anyone who needs them, no questions asked. They can obviously help a lot during the crisis, but they are an organization that's been around for a while now and helping everyday folks. The second organization is Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, also been around for a long time, and they just help with immigrants who need legal help and don't have the money to get the best legal help possible. And again, very helpful now in the crisis, but we'll also continue to do good work with any donations.
I love that. Well said. We'll get to some questions. I love a little levity every now and then. Rock bottle. Hopefully they don't share the same parking spot. Lynwen, you get Tuesdays. Wednesdays, I'll take it. Yeah. It's like when you have tandem parking, but in roommates, where you're like, can I have the outside spot?
She has to drive a bike, and then Filoni can sit in the sidecar. Yeah.
It's like a plot on season 2 of The Studio or something. We got super chats here as well. Thank you, Perry. Good luck to Kathleen Kennedy, next phase of her life and career. Honestly, I love that sentiment. That's kind of where I'm at too. Just like, hey, you did this. You took over. George asked you. You did it. You took the slings and arrows. You made the tough decisions. You had just tough decisions made for you that maybe you wouldn't have made. Some of the stuff there as well. And now you get to go do what you want. You earned it. You earned it.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. I want to grab this one because it is a very generous super chat, and also the person can't stick around for too long. This is from Star Wars Legends Lounge. Thank you very much for the super chat. Hi, ForceCenter crew. I can't stay, but I wanted to drop in and show my support. Question: how do you think streaming will evolve in the next 5 to 10 years? As someone who has never liked going to the theater, I would welcome a pay option for new releases. We've talked recently about, I really want the theater experience to continue, but I also really understand where people are coming from with families, with how expensive theater is, with various health issues where they can't maybe get out to the theater. So I think it would be great if there were, a little bit more, you can buy it at the same time. And then almost for me, I would like it if, hey, you can buy it at the same time, but then maybe there's a window where it goes away for everybody, You can buy it while it's still in the theater at home, but then maybe it disappears for 3-4 months. So even if you're buying it at home, it still has a sense of urgency and it's special, because I think that is important. I think new releases have to feel like this is a big event to make them feel special and not just be like, well, why would I pay? Why would I go to the theater, or why would I pay $20 to rent it now when it's going to be free in 6 weeks? That's how I feel.
Yeah, I wish I had the full answer on this, and I'm sometimes of two minds. Not of two minds. I'm sometimes accidentally on two sides of the coin. Where I'm with you, Joseph, and you said some wonderful stuff last week about the community of it, but just also the business of it. We are both surviving in a town that is shrinking and dying, and that might not mean anything to anyone outside of LA. But it's not just the writers with dreams. It's the person with the taco shop next to the studio. It's the person who dry cleans clothes in the studio. It's it's hitting hard. Mm-hmm. It's hitting really hard in ways that I don't think people fully understand. And I'm not saying that in like a confrontational way. It's just it's sad out here. It's really sad out here. CBS Radford Studios just got bought by some kind of conglomerate. It's one of the most famous set of studios. Seinfeld, I think, had ties to the 1950s. Well, it's been here for years. It's gone. It's done. It's done. It's going to be apartments. I don't know who's going to afford to live with them. It's done. And so it's shrinking. So I want the industry to come swinging back or find its new normal. But then I haven't gone to a theater but once in 5 years. You know what I mean? It's been more. But So I'm with Aaron. So I don't know how it's going to shake out. I know it's going to balance. I like buying it. Look, I'm still the dude. I have some. I subscribe to some music streaming services and whatnot, but I don't listen to a song on my phone unless I pay for it through Apple Music. Like I still want the $1.29 and the 20 cents to find its way to the 4 members of the band. So I'm with Aaron. If I would gladly pay for Thunderbolts right now here in a Friday, but you got to find that balance. And in terms of streaming, in terms of the shotgun effect of shows that we're going to do all these shows, I think that is gone. I also think beyond just studios and advertising dollars and the streaming maybe failed on that end. I just also think the water hose to the face effect was felt across many fandoms and many people. I talked to a lot of people of just like, there's so much stuff out. And that's a problem too. And yet still all that stuff is barely paying their talent, barely paying their crews. And we're still not struggling. It's complicated.
Yeah. I think because I've gone on and on about the movie theater and making movies special, I think streaming needs to feel special too. I think it needs to feel like it isn't just this dumping ground for movies that are 6 weeks old and everybody is starting to forget about it. I think that I would love it if they put out either made for streaming Star Wars films or, here's our commitment. There's going to be a live action Star Wars show of at least 10 episodes every 2 years minimum or something to make sure that streaming feels special and unique. My biggest hope is that streaming would, learn the lessons of decades of television and make something that runs an absolute minimum of 10 years, commit to a minimum of 3 seasons, and let us all get invested in new characters and look forward for them coming back in a reasonable time. This is one of those, it's challenging, but the problem has been solved by decades of television. Maybe that's something Dave and Lynwen will be interested in.
Indeed. Going through super chats here again today. For those just joining, we're raising money for 2 wonderful charities on the ground in Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota overall. Luke Screensaver, great name. Usually a podcast audio listener, first time joining live, but want to be here for the fundraiser. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Joseph. You guys are the best. We appreciate that. Happy to be here, though, with all of you. You make this even better. Tomodachi Elias saying, ForceCenter has friends everywhere. Thanks for supporting the cause. Let's all support Minnesota. Agree with that. Carmen Taylor, rebellions are built on hope. Beautiful there. Ethan, thank you, Joseph, for speaking so eloquently. What is happening in your home state? Plan on writing some letters this weekend there. And that kind of stuff. You're always great, Joseph. You're just always great. But one of the things I do love about you and love working with you is in a world that can easily get cynical, in a world that can get justifiably angry, you also have a great way of saying, hey, voting isn't the final stop, but it's also a step. Writing or contacting your reps might feel useless, but it's not. Like I really am behind you on that stuff there. So it's part of what we're doing here today.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, talking about Star Wars and talking with people about Star Wars through this is so helpful and so inspiring. Look at all the different quotes that Star Wars has given us. But I think that just that idea of even when things are really bad, remember they want you to give up. They want you to feel like you are small, that you are alone, and that they are unstoppable. And I think in our discussions, we conflate predicting that bad things might happen with kind of giving up and trying to convince other people to give up. So I think Star Wars is really, when I'm feeling at my worst, Star Wars very helps me to remember, don't give them your power. That's what they want. They want to take your power and they want to make you think that you can't oppose them. And you absolutely constantly can. I think Nemec's manifesto states that so beautifully about their tiny acts of resistance happening all the time, and they all matter.
They do. Cowboys fans, just facts there indeed. Great stuff. We got Will Dixon. Thank you for the super chat as well. We're here to talk mostly about Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Lynwen, Brennan, but we got some stuff along the way here. Pimsel saying thanks for all you do. If you have one, who is your favorite of the Rebel grunts? Personally, I always liked Brennan Durling. Cheers connection there.
Pretty literal grunter too.
Yeah.
They're in here stations. Let's go.
I don't because you and I don't compete in Star Wars trivia anymore. And Alex and Molly don't invite me to their bar trivia. like I wouldn't fly to Atlanta for a night of that. I loved the guy who is one of the first rebels we see on the Tantive 4 in New Hope, who is described as bushy eyebrow guy that I, as a kid, thought was. I told my friends was Han Solo's cousin because he kind of looked like Harrison Ford to me. And I was like, yeah, I think that's Han Solo's cousin because they fought together in the wars. And I just have always loved that dude. So anytime I'm watching New Hope, I cheer for him. It doesn't go well, but I cheer for him.
It's such a great bit of acting and editing that he kind of recenters his eyes after the door blows. He's like, all right, what are we dealing with here? What are we and my eyebrows facing today? There's so many, and I forget some of their deep cut names, but you know what? I'll go with the person who I know has a story, who awkwardly had to walk between Han and Leia while they were bickering in the Echo Base hallway.
That's right.
I forget his name.
And I know there's a story about him, and from a certain point of view, that's right. But there you go. This is great. Rock Butler says, "Oh, bushy eyebrow guy. Is that the guy with the white hair?" I always thought he was the guy from Green Acres when I was a kid. Yes. There's a little bit of that going on there. That's amazing. That's amazing. Ochi Eli's got this one. My favorite is Pow from Rogue One. I love screaming along with Pow. Who hasn't wanted to be like, fighting fascism?
Bistan, go for the knees.
Love that. Chris from Bro Axiom, does Dak count? Yeah, Dak does count. Does count. There you go. We got all right. One little other Sally one, then we'll get to some more stuff here about Dan and Dave. Game of Thrones coming back this Sunday. My brain's on that. James Holmes from the UK. Speaking of retiring, which Star Wars planet would you want to retire to? Mine would be Hoth. I like the Colton to be left alone. Also, Kathleen Kennedy was okay. I would go to Hoth right next to you, James, and annoy the bleep out of you. Just not let you retire in peace.
Look, I want to be able to make art, so I'm going to Naboo. I would love to, even like I think a kind of like a studio apartment on Naboo probably has a nice view and beautiful architecture and enough room to set up like an easel, and I could just stay there and paint on Naboo. So beautiful.
David points out, wrong podcast. Jeannie from Teeny wants to go to Naboo and Pabu might be the places to go. All right, getting back to other comments here, questions, anything you see, Joseph, jumping out. I'm going to scan as well and catch up.
I've been looking at some of the ones we have starred because I want to make sure that we get to the super chats. Got this one. Oh man, I had it memorized how to correctly say our listener's name. Ihaja.
Kind of like Roger, but I
feel free to put it in again if we butchered it. Apologies. It says, sending solidarity from Scotland. In a world that is going crazier by the fascist days, Star Wars has always been my escape from reality. Adore all that your channel does. In this community here, I have friends everywhere. Yes, you do. Ihaja, who confirmed. Got it. Yes.
Great shot, Jensen. You got it. No, absolutely. Absolutely there.
Here's a good one to get back to some of our takeover. It wasn't a hostile takeover.
Hostile takeover. The man in the cowboy hat has taken over.
They've stormed the desk. Quadface 214 says, howdy. Say y'all think Dave can move past the Clone Wars and Ahsoka and be a service to the all of Star Wars? I think yes, because we've got a couple of questions like this and maybe different ones with other nuance. I think from some of the behind the things with the Mandalorian in particular, I think it's been really well discussed and really well demonstrated that Dave has been good at being a yes and person. I think Dave has his strong opinions about what his Star Wars is and where he wants to push the boundary on Star Wars as a creator. And we've heard various rumors over time if he likes this show better than that or this creator better than this one or whatever. But I think what we've seen with like the Mandalorian and with the Acolyte is that, and with Kenobi, where he encouraged reportedly to push farther and go, yeah, do Leia, include Vader, go for it. That he seems to have a good sense that if a creator comes in with an idea, his response is to go, how can we make that work? His response is to go, why not? Let's give it a shot and find a way to make it make sense. And I do think that there is a distinction between being a producer who can help people make the Star Wars that maybe he wouldn't personally make, and then also be like, I'm going to really advocate for some Star Wars stories that are the way I like them. But if a great story comes in, I'm just going to help them make it a great story. And I think even Dave Filoni doesn't have to personally love every Star Wars story.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I think it's a great question, Quadface, because it's also something that goes around. And there's some other bigger channels that talk Star Wars that kind of put out the stuff in there about what Dave does and doesn't like. And it's very clear what Dave likes. I mean, dude dressed as Plo Koon Revenge of the Sith up here at the AMC Burbank, the biggest money-winning theater in the country right now. Yeah, without a doubt. But I think there's reality, and I want to make sure this is a great question from Quadface. I'm not saying this to anyone who would ask this question, but like, there's this reality where like, dude understands what his job is. It is. You joked about accidentally messing up on about a hostile takeover or takeover. It isn't a takeover. He has been working within the system, and yeah, there might be things he has thoughts on. He might tell some people, "No, you can't do that." But let me hear why, and I think that's how it works there. There's a recent conversation of a Star Wars author who was like, I put some really interesting stuff that they're going to allow in my books. I have to go meet about it. And they did and made their case, and it's going to be in a book. Like this is how it kind of works even within the corporate structure. And I think for me, when it comes to just Dave, and we'll gladly want to celebrate Lynwen Brennan and what she might do. If you have any questions related to that, the business side, please, let's talk about it. But in terms of Dave, like I apologize for, I sometimes bring this up every once in a while in my life, but I have the philosophy of, are you 12:30 or 11:30? This is a late night television thing. In the promotion of Dave Letterman, maybe to the Tonight Show, the critique was he's 12:30, he's not 11:30. Well, Dave said, fine, I'll go to another company and I'll show you how 11:30 I am. I know I can grow into the job. Here's what I've done, but I know what's needed, and trust me, I will do it. And I absolutely think Dave's not like, yes, I got that parking spot, and finally I can tell Captain Rex stories until we die. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have more of that stuff, and I want more of that stuff, but he knows what the job is.
I think a lot will become clear when Ahsoka Season 2 comes out as well, because in that Deadline article about where different projects sit, I don't believe the Dave Filoni movie that was going to be Thrawn versus the New Republic was mentioned at all. I think that there is a possibility, I have no evidence for this and just pontificating, that maybe Ahsoka Season 2 kind of wraps up Ahsoka's story and wraps up a little bit of Thrawn versus the New Republic. Because I do think Dave is possessive of Ahsoka, and I think it might be hard for him to have other people actively telling Ahsoka's story. So maybe that would be a beautiful transition for Ahsoka and for Dave. And not that there can never be Ahsoka stories before, but right now she's one of the lead characters. You know, when they put out a new action figure line of like the 6 basic characters of Star Wars, Ahsoka's one of them. She's one of the lead characters of Star Wars right now. So it'll be interesting to see if Ahsoka Season 2 puts a button on her story for now.
In that regard, question from Boomy Boo, which is just an all-time great username. They said, hey, look, you can't have someone whose strength isn't live action like Filoni run a studio in Lucasfilm where live action content is so important. So I understand that sentiment. In fact, I'm someone that has said, maybe on the record, I don't know if Dave's the best live action director yet. But in terms of being in this position, again, I kind of go to what I just said. He knows the job and they know the job. Kathleen Kennedy has said several times, but has said in this Deadline interview, I pulled him in during Rogue One to kind of go through this. He looked over the shoulder of Rian Johnson. He has now showrun. He has directed many episodes, and he's been out in front. And though I understand the sentiment, again, he knows the job, and 10 years of being around the landscape to me is enough on the job training to understand the live action component. Is in my opinion.
Got a couple of great thoughts contributing to this conversation that I want to grab up. Tony Men said, we know Dave has been in the meetings with all of the projects. He's in the background of the Force Awakens doc. Rian Johnson talked about him being on set for The Last Jedi. I'm sure he was on set for The Rise of Skywalker. He's been in. Yeah, the Art of books include Dave Filoni and discussing making Leia a more prominent character and focusing on the mother character of Star Wars. I remember a great quote from Filoni encouraging that in The Rise of Skywalker. Let's see here. Nicholas says, George always pushed Dave to be bold and not let logic stop him from doing something cool. Ahsoka existing and Maul being brought back to life are prime examples of that. Dave will try if pushed. It's great point that his learning experience in Star Wars is George walking up and saying, somehow Maul returned, figure it out, which makes me feel like that's what he can do for other creators. General Cameroni says, just saw a clip of Filoni praising Andor while simply reiterating the stories he wants to tell. If you're the slander against him is beginning with those stories all saying he supposedly hated Andor. Great reminder to just, treat everything as rumor if we don't hear it from the lips.
Yeah, and considering sources and what those sources are, is it an employee already working there that maybe has some animus towards other people or wants other positions or wish they could be doing? There's things to factor into that. I will say no more, but there's that to consider. And also, I didn't like being on some of the YouTube shows I was on. I still put my best effort in, and I still enjoyed them, and I still understood that other people enjoyed them. I think we forget these are human beings, and he might have done a different Andor. I have no doubts that he would have. But I think especially in this job position, is going to look at it and go, yeah, if people want more of that and that works, and someone has that kind of idea, let's do it. I don't think he's going to put a kibosh on it.
Yep.
And kibosh will be in Ahsoka season 3 as a new villain.
I want to throw this out from a friend, Molly. Molly Damon says Filoni as president might mean big things for future animated projects. That's true. Maybe we'll get a big animated film, standalone animated film. That'd be fantastic. And and I think actually the animation side is another great example, I think, of him overseeing, because I think Bad Batch is so great, and he's clearly one of the I believe it's credited as created by or co-created by, but he wasn't the one actively writing it or show running it. And I think he has been in the kind of role that is going to be in as president of, I have opinions about the big picture, but I'm not the one actively making it.
Yeah, Bad Batch is a great example. Jennifer Corbett, Brad Rao, that entire team taking that and running. Yeah, Machenovitz and making it theirs. Some people jumping in here. We're talking the big Star Wars news while we're here. No time limit on how long we're going today, other than I might jump off because my washing machine died today. I don't have to come back on after I let the repairman in. But a lot of great stuff. So we're talking the big Star Wars news of the day, but also raising funds and awareness for two great organizations working on the ground in Minnesota as that city is under siege from masked federal agents terrorizing the communities there. Everyone there. So you have the links above. I pinned it here on YouTube if you want to donate directly or just see more of what the organizations are. Joseph spoke about it at the beginning of the show. You can jump back if you want later. But all super chats today are going to those two organizations. So any more? We got a ton of super chats. We want to get through them all here. We got this Serenity Jane, very generous. Thank you. No notes, just love to you three. Yes, thank you. Jennifer receives that as well. Jedi Nuakara says, so grateful to Kathleen Kennedy for making me feel welcome as a Star Wars fan. Seeing her and other female creators behind the new era of Star Wars in a film at Star Wars Launch Bay in WDW was a big step in my journey from casual fan to obsessed. I think that's a great perspective. Always been a bunch of wonderful female creators in Star Wars space, but definitely more prominent 2012 on. So,
I think that is fantastic. I want to make sure that we grab the super chats. This is from Lydia Osmo. Thank you very much. I stand with Minnesota and against ICE ForceCenter rules. RULZ. That is right. Thank you very much, Lydia.
We got Cad Bane's Bounty, F the Empire, Meeber Fever. Thank you for your support. F the Empire D. Adam Knight checking in from Winnipeg. Sorry, can't give more to my Minnesota neighbors, screw fascists and the a-holes on KK's back for daring to be successful as a female producer. Thank you, Adam. We need you tuck and tough in our side of the ring. I love that there. Sorry, I'm clearing some of these here. Brady, thank you for the cause. 650. That is very specific. I love that.
And we got this. Whoops. I want to get back to that one, but I want to do this super chat. Jeannie from Tahini, thank you for the generous super chat. Never give up hope, no matter how dark things seem. Season 5, episode 20, The Clone Wars. Yep, love it. Love the morals.
Love the morals. The Clone Wars. There, got it. Well, let's jump to that question from Ethan. There, we'll get to some super chats here in a second. I'll clear these two here so we know those ones are gone. We have Ethan Osvetnik 1138. Do you think Dave will step back from directing and focus on being president, or do you think he'll go the gun route and do both? This is actually something you and I talked about over cheese toast yesterday.
What do you think, Ken?
I think you're obviously he's gonna see Ahsoka to the finish line. The absence of Dave's movie in Kathleen's interview does not mean that it doesn't exist, because she also didn't say much, if at all, I don't think, of the potential new Jedi Order Rey film with Sharmina Bed-Chinoy, and I believe that's still in the works. Even if it does get folded into Kinberg's, I don't even know if that's a rumor too as well. But we're not worried about rumors today. I just think there's some logic behind the idea that Dave's announced movie is no longer in the works, but I have no grounds to stand on in that. I think he can do both because he's not handling the business side of it. That is why you have now two become one, both a Spice Girls song and a Force dyad. I think that's why you do this. But I think they have so many great players on the roster, and I think that could be part of, like, he still might, he's going to jump in on all of it. Like, if they do more Tales of animated, he's going to get his fix. I think you could still see a film from him because he just might want to accomplish that. And I think he has the right to try that. I also think there's this reality of, you get this job. I keep talking about the job, but you get this job, and the job means you don't get to play in the dirt with everybody. You're there to make sure the dirt doesn't get everywhere, and that's part of what you got to do in the reality you got to face with this title.
Yeah, and I mean, and maybe some of that is dependent on how Mandalorian, Grogu, and Starfighter go. And if it feels like, oh, Star Wars is on firm footing, maybe there is more room for the president to also be directing the film. I do think it's different than Gunn, because Filoni is absolutely a creator, and he's made live action things, but he has never made a full length live action theatrical release film. And Gunn obviously had, and I think Gunn doing it is more like, I'm going to set the tone that I want for this big franchise thing. So I hope that he gets to do what is creatively fulfilling. I hope he gets to finish the sort of Thrawn versus New Jedi Order Mandoverse story. He and Favreau in tandem can kind of resolve that in some way. Would be fantastic. The other thing that occurs to me, we don't know as much about Lynwen Brennan, so we don't have as much to say, but she is there too. But one of the things that she might, be involved in is, how can we take risks creatively that are a little safer financially? Which is, how can we come up with clever, interesting Star Wars films where they still look great? You still have a space battle, you still have aliens, but is there a way to come up with a concept that's financially safer, so it can be creatively more bold? That's really interesting to me, because it frankly fills up in a huge amount of my mind of, I want to make films for the rest of my life, and at this point in my career, I have to come up with clever ways to make them as cheap as possible. And cheap doesn't necessarily mean, or less expensive can sometimes breed creativity. So I'm also interested if that would be a part of, like, what's going on, of like, man, this Ben Solo film is actually kind of intimate. It's actually kind of affordable. Maybe not with Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver's salaries, but maybe the Lando film is like, actually, and that might be a part of the conversation that we're not aware of too, of the financial risk versus the creative risk.
Love that there. Got a question here from Gaz. It's in this realm. Would Kathleen Kennedy have consulted with George Lucas with regards to secession? I would imagine, I respect it, they would have at least discussed it prior to the 2014 sale. I mean, Kathleen mentioned that they just went to lunch recently in London, or dinner or something, in that article. Obviously, he's still around. I think he's got other things to worry about now, which, with the museum hopefully opening on its current schedule. But also it makes sense. And I think, at some point going, hey, George, what do you think about Dave doing this side of it? And what do you think about Lynwen Brennan, who you hired in 1999 to oversee in a general manager capacity, ILM, which is tremendously important to your success, George? I think he absolutely would have a thing or two to say. I could imagine that. And I also got to think this makes sense to him because we know he chose Kathleen Kennedy, often forgotten in the story. He chose Kathleen Kennedy. He offered it to her. And this is not I don't want to say it's like make it sound like it's just a mom and pop company. But the ethos might be leaning towards that. And in an era where I was just telling this story on Anytime with Ken and Alden, my favorite football team, the Miami Dolphins, has over the last 40 years been historically just effed up in the front office. And in the 2000s, the ownership hired a consultant firm to find the best CEO for the Miami Dolphins. And the consultant said, I got him. It's me. And he named himself the CEO. And really set back the franchise that we're still digging ourselves out of. That stuff happens all the time, and it happens in the theaters, in the theater business, in the movie business. I mean, you can't tell me Zaslav grew up wanting to be an artist. I said earlier, a lot of these folks are frustrated artists. I don't think he is. I think he's a frustrated boatsman who just wants more yachts. And it could have been that. And I think that's why no matter what you might think about Dave, and I think there's some great thoughts on Dave and questions about Dave there, including what Boomy Boo asked. But I'm glad it's them and not some shareholder name. I'm sure George probably had those thoughts too as well. Don't know, George. We've never hung out.
Yeah, but I mean, they're all in the official press release. Everybody is also thanking Bob Iger and Alan Bergman in particular that they are reportedly reporting to. So yeah. This seems like legacy Lucasfilm creatives and employees that Lucasfilm would support, but also that George Lucas himself would support, but that also really have the nod from Disney.
Yeah. Got a great question from Dave McKay, but also Brian Ward brings up a good thought. Hopefully we can get that animated show about Maul's legs, what they were up to during the Clone Wars, finally. And,
nothing but restless running dreams.
Some channel that explains Star Wars has miss you both and donated generously. We truly, truly miss you, Alex and Molly. Two of my favorite people of all time. Blessed to have met them through this silly little world that we're in. David writes, what do you think this news means for non-Star Wars projects like Indiana Jones, Willow, etc., if anything? I mean, every time I hear Willow, a little pang in my heart. I really grew to love that show. Just a shame that it was deleted for tax purposes or whatever the hell reason they give. Kathleen Kennedy did. I have the article right here. She did talk about Indiana Jones, right? Or did I dream that?
No, I think in the article, I have no idea if she talked about it in the article.
Did I? The good chance I dreamed it. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, I know like a lot of the headlines that I read yesterday in a story I heard on NPR talked about Lucasfilm, the studio of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So, and I there's certainly been rumors and rumblings about a new Indiana Jones. I would love, hey, if they want to do a short round film or a television show, I'm all about that. And I would, other than that, I would love for them to just create something new that's under the Lucasfilm banner, because I think we do need new things and new ideas. We got a quote from Alex and Molly. We got to send a little bit of money.
Molly, there you go.
We're doing half of our reporting for us on our live stream. Thank you so much.
Let's go to our intrepid reporter, Molly David, reporting live from outside of Lattagia.
According to a video from Star Wars Explained that I'm watching right now live on air, here's what's going on. Yeah. Molly, thankfully, shares this quote. I don't think Indy will ever be done, but I don't think anybody's interested right now in exploring it. But these are timeless movies, and Indy will never be done. Great. I think, that's another super honest Kathleen Kennedy banger right there.
Yeah. And at the end of the article, she also talks about, because she concedes, and the words are going to be spun out wildly uncontrolled about what she said about Solo: Star Wars Story. It was not the movie. It was not the choice. It was not the performance. It was she felt the time. It just might have been too soon to do that with the character, and I can understand that. I love that film and will defend it, maybe even violently for the rest of my life. But I take her point, and I also take what she said. Don't let people spin that out, folks. Don't let them spin that out about the quality of the film, just the timing. Which also has a lot to do with Uncle Bob. And also ask Uncle Bob who he hired to make that film that maybe they didn't. Oh, I won't go into it. But she did talk about if Harrison and they wanted to do it again, it kind of got the vibe of, yeah, sure. But maybe no. I personally, that aside, I'd be open to an animated show. I think I talked about that on my show, The Blathering, yesterday. Maybe that's why I thought I dreamed it.
Sorry, breaking news from Alex. Alex says there was some talk on the Wrap about a canceled indie animated series. That breaks my heart. Me too, because I keep thinking about the short round film, but an animated series would have been the way to go. It would have been really good. I know everybody likes the voice actor who plays Indy in the latest video game.
Troy Baker, Troy Baker.
Yeah.
Troy Baker's great.
Heavy sigh. Heavy sigh. First petition to Dave Filoni and Brennan.
Yeah, no, look, I
series.
I'd love to, like you said, and that doesn't have to be indie. Can they do something outside of it? Red Tails 2. I don't care. Try.
I think it is still called Lucasfilm, so it literally does do something in the ethos of Lucas. Create something that has a moral heart and a moral message, but is based in adventure serial mid 20th century storytelling, and create something new. It'd be great. Yeah.
Catching up, and seriously, thank you, Alex and Maul, for supporting us here today. It's their Friday too. This is the point where Alex puts on shorts, Molly puts on slippers, and they close the laptops and they drink their night away, and they're taking time with us, and I appreciate it. LQ says it's very glad to be in this community. One that recognizes what's worth fighting for. Thanks, ForceCenter. Thank you, LQ, and thank you for a tremendously generous donation that's going to go straight to these two organizations. We really appreciate you there. Going back up top here, General Cameroni, generous super chat. We appreciate that as we raise money for charity. Links to the organizations in chat up top. Very happy with KK's tenure. Cautiously optimistic for the new co-presidents. Brennan seems like an awesome choice. I like Filoni's work. So to see this leadership grow. Also, fight the empire. Yeah, I think that's kind of the way of it. I love having takes about this. This is part of the fun, and it's kind of in a weird way, it's exciting to be like, oh, cool, a definite new era, right? This is exciting, and I think cautiously optimistic is a fair and honest appraisal, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it is also kind of exciting to think about. Well, when are we going to start really hearing from them? And knowing that we've got, lots of stuff coming up for 2027, where we'll probably be hearing from both of these new co-heads soon.
Indeed. We got he thank you for the very generous super chat. You guys are the best. All the best to KK, Brennan, and Filoni. Looking forward to a lot more Star Wars. Yeah, and at the end of the day, more Star Wars. Isn't that why we're here?
Yeah.
Isn't that why we're here?
Archangel 1137, another generous super chat. Thank you so much. It says for our friends everywhere, with a glowing blue lightsaber in their profile pic. Thank you so much for that. Very appreciated.
There you are. Yeah, and again, for those just joining, I'm going to broadcast my way through this. We are raising charity. It's not just a great super chat day for ForceCenter. This is for a great cause. That's an unfortunate cause in terms of what's going on in the world, specifically in Minneapolis and St. Paul. But we're happy that you all have risen to the occasion to support these two charity organizations doing great work on the ground there in Minneapolis. Joel says this. I think people don't give Kennedy enough credit for keeping Filoni on board and elevating the status. Instead of him, let him just go post buyout. Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of truth to that too, and recognizing talent, and recognizing that, all right, who is this guy, right? Who's this cartoon cowboy hat guy? That could have been the end of it. But seeing it, and again, solid, understandable questions raised about his experience on the live action side versus even someone like James Gunn, but talent, baby, talent. Like, what can you do? Let's find out. And she took that approach with them a long time ago.
Yeah, and making the choice to nurture talent and interest instead of saying, yeah, you make the cartoons and you answer our nerd questions about deep cuts, and instead saying, you know, we are going to nurture you and help you learn credit to Kathleen Kennedy for that.
Yeah, this in the same spirit here, Austin Jules, thank you for this question here. I'm appreciating what feels like a healthy change in the guard. Going back to what I was saying up top, or saying earlier about, this could have gone completely wrong. This could have been, Bodie McBoatser coming in with his, cardigan sweaters or sweater vests, and I know how to do this, and we're going to leverage our opportunities against the growth potential of. It could have been that guy.
Yeah, it could have been Captain LinkedIn. Yeah,
Captain LinkedIn. God damn it. Yes, could have been. And you have two insiders in the best way possible who grew with this company through different eras. And you got to believe Kathleen Kennedy, as she says in the Deadline interview, Lynwen's been running things with me on the business side for a couple of years. This is a smooth handoff.
We got Quadface coming in with $2 to hold our feet to the fire, Ken. Quadface 214 says, what happened to the James Bond reviews? So for anybody who doesn't know, Patreon added a function where you could make episodes available to patrons, but then you could make them available to purchase as individual episodes to non-Patreon people. And we've been wanting to do some non-ForceCenter stuff. I'm a big fan of James Bond, and Ken had always been a big fan of the Daniel Craig James Bond. So we thought, hey, why don't we watch these? We'll do reviews as individual episodes. And as we always do, we went hog wild and did like 2.5-hour episodes. And
yeah,
very proud of them, but they were a lot of work. And to be perfectly honest, they just didn't sell it all. That model didn't work. So there was a combination of, we were hoping that this side passion project would help us keep everything rolling. And that was a bummer, but we still entirely intended to keep doing them. And it's on me. I got really busy with the film, with the short film, the horror film that I've been working on. I got way too busy for it. I went bonkers with the amount of time that I spent on prepping for those.
I'll kind of repeat what I said to you over lunch tomorrow when you said, hey, look, thanks I've been busy, and you made a goddamn film. You set your eyes on something you wanted to do. You scribbled it on a piece of paper, and a year and a half later, it's a reality. So James Bond can wait. As David Mackay, F you, David Mackay, Casino Royale is 20 years old this year. I do not need to hear that. That hurts in ways I can't explain. I recently rewatched it because it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I was like, oh, they don't even have smartphones.
Daniel Craig is so young, and I know I say every time, it came out on my wedding day. So 20 years of Casino Royale means I've been married to my wife for 20 years. So
there you go. But hey, when the opportunity, we're excited for this year in ForceCenter. Jennifer is as well. So we want to finish that because I'm a giant fan of the Daniel Craig James Bond's films as well. So there we go. All right. So thank you, Quadface, for holding us to the fire. Addie, resident professor of Smart Things, says, do we think this team will finally let Padme be said on screen? Hashtag Padme was right about everything. She absolutely was. I'm still holding this. This is going to Addie. Addie is going to get this in her collection. We absolutely love the character of Padme here, as portrayed by Natalie Portman, Kat Tabor, and maybe even others when you look at the voice cast list. I'm hopeful. I don't care who's in charge. This is what they need to answer for, Joseph.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it is imperative that the character is elevated to the status that she deserves as the character, but also just one of the main characters of Star Wars. People are so excited. There's a new Padme action figure that's maybe out or maybe about to come out. I pre-ordered it the second it was available. So there's more Padme action figures rolling out. And that's, I think, one determination of getting a little bit more credit where credit is due. Great Padme books. But yes, we need just say Padme. Just say Padme. Quick Padme side thought. We are wanting to every once in a while sort of recenter that this stream is also a charity stream for organizations supporting Minnesota during this time of crisis. One of them is the Community Aid Network, who gets food to folks, and the other is Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota, who helps immigrants with legal cases with the donations. I was thinking about Padme in The Phantom Menace, and I want to be very careful about the way I say this. I think people in Minneapolis are organizing and protesting in a non-violent way. So it is not the same as the events of The Phantom Menace. And leaders in Minnesota, Keith Ellison in particular, the AG, has filed a lawsuit, the city of Minneapolis, the city of St. Paul, and the entire state to try to legally, through the courts, get ICE to leave the state and stop their campaign of terror. But there can be kind of a feeling in Minnesota that maybe elected officials don't have a lot to do. Maybe it is much like The Phantom Menace, where the people who should have helped Naboo kind of had their hands tied by the government not functioning smoothly, so it can't respond quickly to a crisis and a violation that the people are going through. So this is a long way to say Padme being like, well, if you can't help, I'm going to go do something. That's what the people of Minnesota are doing. They are doing a giant statewide Padme move, not in, attacking Theed with violence, but they are saying, hey, if the government can't offer immediate aid, then the people will band together to try to help one another. So Padme's been on my mind a lot for that inspiration. Again, not violent, but other than that, trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. No, agree with that. And that's a lot of what Padme represents. There was this great comment earlier. I think we both set it aside. Nicholas Starhart said, for some, Star Wars is an escape from the horrors of the outside world. For me, it's become a manual for what to look for and how to fight the horrors of the outside world. And I love that take. I sometimes, too, just flip on Return of the Jedi if I want to feel good. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. With all the horrors going on in the world, anywhere you look, joy is part of the resistance. Survival is part of the resistance. And I think it's right to just enjoy the whiz-bang part of Star Wars. That needs to be there always. But there's something over the last few years that, a show like Andor, and it's why I think it deserves all the credit, but a movie like Phantom Menace or Rise of Skywalker, There's More of Us, Poe. All those kind of inspiring moments are also moments that I look to and don't just go, that feels good, but like, that's how it can work. This is lightsabers and pew, 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 but that is how it works. And that is what George intended. There's all the conversations about what that man has said and the different times in his life that he said different versions of it or snarky versions of it. But I think that's why this is here. And I actually really like Nicholas's comment of especially Andor season 2 for me was like, yes. And can I use this show to talk to other people who used to see things like I do and maybe try to connect it? I love when pop culture can at least attempt to do that.
Yeah, I so agree. This is from Extra Cheddar. It says, right now here, it definitely feels as if the elected officials can't do anything right now. People on the streets here are taking action for their neighbors. Yes, they're and Dave McKay says the Gungans will rise out of Lake Superior and Lake Minnetonka and Bude-Makaska. There are many lakes for the Gungans to rise out of in the land of 10,000 lakes, which, like many things in Minnesota, they're just being humble. There's actually, more than 10,000 lakes, more in the 11,000 region. Yeah, it's the spirit. It's the spirit of it, and it is one of the things that is moving. That in general, Minnesota is you help your neighbor. If your neighbor broke his leg, you mow their lawn or clear out the driveway of snow, kind of thing. But the number of people who are running out to help one another when maybe they wouldn't always be the best friends or the closest people is really inspiring. And again, oversimplification, but it is in that spirit of, like, is somebody coming to take a Gungan? Then a Naboo artist running out with a whistle and saying, stop. I'm watching you. I see you. Let my friend go is what's happening.
Yeah, the guy who came out because my brother normally does this shit, but I'm out here now and F this. That guy is kind of what we need more of, right? And people
Yeah.
need to allow we need to allow those folks to have this moment now, even if they haven't been there before. Chris King coming in with a question here in a generous super chat. Thank you for doing this. Fight the Empire. I'll be thankful to Kathleen Kennedy for the character of Rey. And for shifting directors to what we got in the solo film. I love this era of Star Wars. Yeah. I sometimes say too much, but yes, there was a lot that needed to happen on that set, and I think it did. The right thing happened. And one of these days, Joseph, you and I are going to run into Ron Howard at Smokehouse because he and Clint are always there. I was there one night. I was celebrating my birthday. Yeah. Clint Howard and Ron Howard were celebrating. Clint's a table over. One of these days, I'm going to bum rush him and be like, thank you for landing that plane, because I enjoy that film and enjoy that character, and I enjoy Alden and Amelia and everyone in that film.
It's so good. It's so good. And yes, it'd be great someday, when we get the behind the scenes. Maybe Kathleen Kennedy's just going to do interview week after week, and you're like, all right, here's the solo interview. Here's what really went down.
And I'm planning for you and I to one day be at the Smokehouse, and we had a great corner booth yesterday. And Ron to be over there. And then I want a waiter to come up and be like, Mr. Howard, this table over there has ordered you this drink. And it's just you and me in the corner, just like, hey, winking, like we're at the end of the bar. We like your style. That's my dream. It's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen.
I just need to have a ball cap ready to go, which I got one. Yeah.
Keeping the questions and comments going again. Thank you for those raising funds. We are approaching $800 raised for these two organizations, and it means a lot. And hopefully you can trust us by looking into these withered old faces that have been podcasting for 12 years. All the money raised today will go to these two organizations. We mean that from the bottom of our hearts. Maddie Mourner checking in from the UK says, I hate eyes. They're cold. They're soft. And they should be abolished everywhere. I love Star Wars, so. Thank you, Maddie.
That's great. I'm going to highlight one other thing from Extra Cheddar. Who is there on the ground, says there have been quite a few scenes here that have been very reminiscent to the Andor episode where the Empire is finally on Ferrix with all the banging on metal and stuff. Yes, the people have been trying to determine which hotels are housing ICE and making some beautiful and some not so beautiful music outside. Good, creative, nonviolent civic disobedience protest. And yeah, I want to be sure to highlight folks who are there. I feel like I have so many people there, and my Facebook feed is almost all insights, but I am not physically there. So I do want to give attention to people who are there and truly know what's going on.
Yeah, indeed. And I work now with Pat Conkey on his YouTube channel, Culture, Faith, and Politics. I mentioned earlier, he's about 2 blocks from there, and he's been sharing some stuff of what's actually like going out there, helping the neighborhood, finding community in the darkness. So, I think you're right, Joseph, to highlight those voices as well. Kingsport Cal, for the cause, will Filoni finally give me a Quinlan Voss series? And also, what's Joseph drinking? Kingsport Cal checking in from the great Kingsport, Tennessee. I don't think you'll get that Quinlan Voss series, but I don't think we've seen the last of Quinlan Voss.
No. And I mean, who knows? I mean, we're talking about like, will Filoni direct a film himself? Will he be, open to Star Wars ideas that aren't his biggest idea? It's fun to think of Filoni as a chess master, right? Where he's just like, somewhere in all of this before me, I shall place Quinlan Voss. Where does he go on the board? Because I'll put him on the board.
Put him on the board. Yes.
I think he does know characters that are close to his heart, and I think he does have a good instinct too of what characters that will resonate. And Quinlan Voss is, a Jedi with a sense of humor, but then a Jedi who's been through hell with everything that happened to him in Dark Disciple, and a Jedi who is coded in our real world, is indigenous. Is super valuable, super interesting, and I really hope, and knowing he survives and is at least a part of the path, at least for a moment. There's so much storytelling to be had with Quinlan. I think Dave will make sure that we get something.
Indeed. Soups and Witch. That is a great name. I have friends everywhere. Thank you for the generous super chat. Joel coming back in here. I think if Filoni really wants to do quote Heir of the Empire, I'm not saying quote, but the title of the book, whatever it's called, I think he's going to do it. He's the boss now. Well, yes. I get that. I also think they're going to have to measure against some of the other stuff. And there was a comment down here. Here it is. Harrison Gibson. I think it ties the next important shift is Iger's upcoming successor as CEO, especially given some of what Kennedy said in his interview about shelved scripts and risk-averse decisions. And yes, there are more of us. Yes, they are indeed. Harrison thinks of it. I think it's tied together. I don't think Filoni has the free reign in that regard. That's, and I'm not saying that as a good thing all the time. Like, I think you're still gonna have to run it up the chain, and you're still gonna run into problems, which is why, we set up earlier about the age of the mogul, the age of the personality, the Robert Evans, and all those things of those people who could get in the face and throw a coffee cup at the studio head that said no. Like, that stuff is long gone, and maybe for the better in many ways, by the way. But I think that Lynwen Brennan will be key in that component. This is what our creative people want to do. Here's why we think it could work, and that's, I think, at the end of the day, all they can do. The best they can do.
Yeah. Couple things. Kingsport Cal very kindly says that I agree with my Quinlan take, and I didn't answer Kingsport's question.
Oh, yeah, I cut you off.
Some Redwood Empire whiskey with ginger beer. It's
nice.
It's delicious. Yeah, I mean, I think I really take the point about Filoni being in the position partially because he understands the lore, he understands the stories that have been building, and I think they should, be making the stories that they want to make. But he also does understand the fan base, and I think he understands that a sort of not a promise has sort of been made to finish this story that he started with Thrawn. So I think that he would also be able to advocate to whoever's in charge of Disney of like, look, we told our fan base that we're going to tell this story of Thrawn versus the New Republic. And even if you don't want to do it in a movie in the theater, like, I'd be fine with it. But Ahsoka season 2 ended with, 3-part special movie event coming a year or 2 years from now that's on streaming. I care mostly that they finish the story.
Yeah, indeed. And Joel had a super chat that's kind of the other end of his own question. Their cynical take is as far as Dave and Lynwen are still beholden to the Bob and the future Bob, whoever that is.
What if they always are now just like, there must be a Bob, and then just go on a Bob search?
Always a Bob there is.
A good one and a bad one. No.
Yeah. Alan Smithy, thank you for the generous super chat as we raise money for charity today. Power to the People by Alan Smithy. Love all his films. Nick Tears checking in with a generous super chat. Thank you, Nick. Looking forward to Filoni's tenure and hopeful that whoever eventually replaces him will care about publishing and park storytelling more than he does. Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll get to, we'll talk Monday on the big Star Wars land news. And I think it's fair to throw a dart or two at Dave about publishing. I think that's absolutely fair. And here's the thing. Now in this position, what I keep going to about it's the job, he'd have to care a little bit more than maybe perceived, I'll say, than maybe what is actually fact. So, yeah, I love that, Nick.
Yeah, I picked up the last issue of Legacy of Vader yesterday, and I had to go to 2 comic book stores because it had sold out at one. And the comic book store I normally went to, I was asking the person if they did. I know weird things are going on with Star Wars comics, but I don't know what. And he said that there were still issues to come out of the Star Wars main line, but other things were wrapping up. He said people are really excited about that Jar Jar one shot. I keep getting questioned about that.
Nice.
But he shared his take as somebody who operates a comic book store and clearly a Star Wars fan himself, that it feels like a lot, and he wouldn't mind them pumping the brakes.
Yes.
And I know that we have listeners who like the comics are their main thing or the books are their main thing. But for me, it does feel sometimes almost like streaming where it's all good, but maybe it would be good to just kind of relax the flow a little bit. And in terms of how any of the comic books or books relate to the on-screen adventures, I do think we've just bumped into places where the books and the comics have kind of got ahead of where the stories on screen might be going. And then we lead to these contentious things where Dave tweaks it a little bit. And I think I would be okay with if they did just have fewer comics and fewer books for a little while they decide where they're going next, or launch another initiative like the High Republic that's like, we know for certain we're going nowhere near this corner, so publishing can have a field day.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Alex says Bob is dead. Long live Bob. Bob's
A
everywhere.
lot of Bob talk. Very funny, given that Bob Iger both gave life to Twin Peaks and killed Twin Peaks, where Bob is an important
what is it?
figure.
What is it that you say you do here, Bob? Cowboy fan. Tough year for you Cowboys. Much rather have Filoni coming into the chair after Kennedy, because even though Kennedy has a great track record as producer, she has no experience in creative. Well, I would say she does, but now I hope Filoni gets let's get creative and play. Yeah, thank you, Cowboys fan, for that. I mean, she does. She's absolutely been in a creative position for. James,
Go ahead.
go for it. Well, James Holmes always. Have you watched the animated Lion King yet? No. Got too much Fortnite to play. What do you want? What are you talking about, James?
That's going to be an event. We're going to we're not going to live stream watching it because neither Ken or I are comfortable doing live watch-alongs. I don't think. But we might do a live, discussion after we watch it. But like we'll wait and make it an event. I'm not just at this point. I'm just going to like Tuesday night and watch Lion King. I can't do that.
See, here's the thing. We're also circus performers, Joseph. Today's we're raising money for good funds, good causes, and we'll do that again as we see fit. But also, the cause might be us, and one day we might do a charity live stream for us if you want to make us watch The Lion King. Okay, I'll mark it. I come from pro wrestling. I know how to turn something into storylines. We'll do it. Thank you, James.
That's fantastic. I want to let a couple of people weigh in on the comic book opinions, because I'm a light comic book reader at best, and I know other people out there are for real comic book readers. Chris Ryan says 2026 is looking light for Star Wars comics, unfortunately. Hoping there are a few more announcements for a few new comics outside of the new Galaxy's Edge tie-in and the very much anticipated Jar Jar book. Professor of Smart Things says, I finally read Crimson Climb. It was a good read. I can't wait to read that one myself. Nicholas Arcus says, Charles Soule hearing Joseph, I'm going to comic book even harder. I've had conversations with 2 different comic book shop owners about how the Kylo Ren comic book is so good. And Charles Soule is one of my favorite Star Wars writers, not of comics or of books, just full stop. One of my favorite Star Wars writers. He seems to be able to either ask for assignments or be given assignments from Lucasfilm where he has the elbow room to tell really substantive story, where he's able to truly add to like the state of the galaxy or the mind, the soul of a major character, like Ben Solo, like Poe Dameron. So I kind of want them to do fewer comics and have them all be as meat on the bones as Charles Soule's work has been.
Yeah, no, I admit I fell off. I pulled my list from my comic shop, and then the comic shop shut down, so I wasn't getting comics anyways. And I know there's a lot of other ways to get comics, but I love supporting local shops. So yeah, I'd love to maybe finally one day catch up. My barometer is I watch Alex and Molly's news show as you do on Saturday mornings. And then when Alex gets to the comics and runs through it, and when Molly goes, oh, I read that one, I go, I probably got to read that one. Let me mark that down there.
Yep. The Legacy of Vader, they'll be out with the full collection, I'm sure, very soon. It's really good.
Catching up with Super Chat says we help raise money for 2 great organizations doing great work on the ground in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Our buddy Ken Plume checking in with a generous Super Chat, adding my support to the tally. Let's keep at it, folks. Thank you, Mr. Plume. And Will checking in. May the force be with everyone in these troubled times. Thank you, Will. Very generous. Really appreciate you being around these parts. Jared F.I.S. and I know, we know Jared. It took a lot for him to not to type that full word out to keep it YouTube friendly. We appreciate that. And then Ken wants $2 more. Said Jen and Ken need to watch Animated Lion King 2. Is there a sequel? Is that straight to VHS?
Yeah, we gotta watch the Ewok movies, James Bond, Lion King 2. Yeah. So many. Yeah. So many interconnected narratives.
And Addie's calling me out here. Okay, we paid you to watch several things on the Blethers. I got halfway through Wicked, okay? And I'm not done. I didn't say I have to watch it one sitting or even one calendar year. So I'll keep my promise.
What was it you promised to watch?
That I would actually watch Wicked, because I'm not a fan of musicals that much. And Addie is a big fan of musicals, specifically Wicked. So I said, yeah, I got halfway through it. it's people singing while they're smiling, but I'm gonna get there. Gonna get there.
The only musical you like is Cabaret, I bet.
Well, Moulin Rouge. I saw
Moulin
that.
Rouge. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Moulin Rouge is good stuff. That's on the rewatch list.
There we go. All right. We're here for a few more minutes more, I think, here. Got some more questions. If any more super chats come in, you guys have been just wonderfully generous today. We really appreciate it. It means a lot. And if you saw the beginning of the show, you know what it means to both of us, but specifically Joseph, who is seeing his former his home still in a lot of ways, we would say, just being completely attacked. And we really appreciate you guys all stepping up.
Yeah, looking at this one, this question that just came in from JG Kars. Let's say Dave gets a green light that Lucasfilm Animation can go forward with animation feature film with all the modern pretty graphics and lighting. What story would you want them to do? Oh, that is very difficult.
All the fancy lighting.
Fancy lighting. I mean, I kind of have my laundry list of stories that I would like to see. I would love to see something related to the path, with possibly Asajj involved, possibly Reva, Quinlan. I think they set up so many interesting threads and characters to be included in that. So I'd be excited for that. If it's a one-off thing, I would be excited for a Luke and young Ben animated thing. Would be really cool. This isn't my first choice because we've spent a lot of time with the characters, but I also wouldn't mind. I still think there's got to be a really interesting story in the actual forging of the Skywalker blade. So Anakin loses his blade in Attack the Clones, gets a haircut and goes to work in the Clone Wars. And somewhere in there, I think the books have hinted at it, but does he go to Ilum? What does he go through? And Kenobi's getting a new saber at the same time. So war is on them. They have to make these new blades. It's a spiritual journey, not just they're not going to like Jedi Amazon and just placing an order. They have to go make these blades. So there's a story there. And one of them is, how did the Skywalker blade begin? So I'd love to see that.
It's a great question because sometimes I go like really, really like 2015, 16 nerd Star Wars kind of like, I'd like a Battle of Jakku, the movie, and all the storylines that we know from Jakku are put into one big film. It just would never happen, and maybe I'd be the only one that watched the death of Mr. Bones on screen.
There's a comic book now that is basically that. Yeah.
Right. Good point. I think High Republic, I would be interested in, like adaptation of Light of the Jedi, which I still kind of consider my favorite Star Wars book because it read like a movie treatment. I'd love that. So something like that. I go to. It's tough. It's because I'm trying to think. I just finally watched the animated film War of the Rohirrim, and I had missed it, and it was kind of the promotion of it was kind of bumbled. And friend of the show, our friend Daniel Falconer, who lives out there in New Zealand, and worked in and around all the Lord of the Rings films and wrote the art of book for War of the Rohirrim. I was like, Daniel, I'm going to watch it. I finally watched it like a month ago. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. And it was really uplifting. It had new characters in it. It had a kind of an anime style, I'll say, I guess, in an ignorant way of describing animation styles, I'm sure. But I really liked it. And it was one of those things of like, let's answer a big part of this lore. We all know the Helm's Deep and the Battle of Helm's Deep. We've all seen Two Towers. So let's go to this little history of it and play around it within the Jackson Tolkien world. I really liked it, man. I really liked it. So if we can find something like that in Star Wars, I don't quite know the equivalent, but I'd love to experience it.
Yeah, some great thoughts from everybody in here. JG Kars answers his own question with, I'd love them to adapt some books into animated films, starting with the queen of it all, Lost Stars. I agree with that. That'd be great. Our friend Brian says Skeleton Crew animated show. Jeannie from Teeny says, I'd love to see Luke's Jedi Temple. We got more Path, more High Republic in Svetnik in here with the winner. Obi-Wan and Satine on Mandalore, a big enough story for a big screen animated film. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good. Because okay. That might be
one of my favorite lines in all of the Clone Wars is when Obi-Wan says to Satine, "I would have left the Jedi Order if you'd asked me." It's so rich. It's so rich of Obi-Wan being like, "I'm putting this decision on you, Satine." And what is Qui-Gon? I mean, Qui-Gon knows, right? Plus, you got they're supposed to be on the run for bounty hunters. Plus, Mandalorian political intrigue. Like, come on, Rich.
I would absolutely love that. We are raising money as we start to end the stream here. In a few minutes here, we might power down. But we're raising money for two great charity organizations on the ground in Minneapolis. But this one, I think I'm going to have to return the money because I owe this man money for drinks. Mark Ellis here, checking in. Mark Ellis Live. Just checking the status of my new Star Wars Muppet Babies crossover. Also, Who's That Spry? New host alongside Joseph. All right. Keep up the good works. Thank you, Mark. I'll get you back.
You have been voted down on whether or not being bearded makes you look older or younger.
Oh, they yelled at
your truth, but you have been voted down.
They yelled at me on the Blathern yesterday. They fought with me. You look younger. I'm like, I'm 66. I look like a crusty defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. It's just horrible.
It's going up.
It's a little bit better that some of the gray beards, the texture's coming back to my face.
It's better. It's going up because you had been saying I look like a 62-year-old, and now it's up to 66. It's going to go up. Keep giving him hell about it, and he's going to be, I look 87.
Lydia, Zvekna, I agree. Romance is popular again. Absolutely. Lydia saying she's a big fan of Thrawn. I would love an animated project set in the Chiss Ascendancy featuring either Vanto and Skywalkers. Save a lot of money on blue makeup. Winky at me in my face. Because I still sometimes question the blue paint. I will admit. I think that's a good idea too. And keeping it, Disney Plus. You don't have to worry about any box office returns. Just make it for the fans of that. Kingsport Cal has decided I look younger. It's over. Kingsport Cal said the answer. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Cal. Hi, Franny. I know.
Yeah. Great. Scanning for any other questions, super chats. It looks like Franny is telling us that it's almost time to wrap up.
When the Chihuahua speaks, the stream must end. There we go. Now, a lot of great questions, but more importantly, absolute generous, heartfelt support. So I'll close my remarks for saying thank you all. We're absolutely humbled as always that you just tune in to hear our takes on a news story, but that you answer our call there. But Joseph, I'll let you take us home on that as well.
Yeah, thank you everyone for just being here and talking Star Wars with us and being excited for something. Star Wars is so special because, as people said in this chat, on one hand, it's great escapism. And on the other hand, it holds so many life lessons that can really help us during dark times. So it means so much to hear about Star Wars and talk about Star Wars with all of you. And thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your encouragement to speak up about what's going on in Minnesota. And I can't speak for everyone there, but I have several friends who I've talked to who feel like, does the rest of the world know? Does the rest of the world really know and really care what is happening? And the money is important, and the money will make a difference. But I'm telling you, it makes a difference to people in Minnesota to just know that you all are listening, and you care. So thank you.
Absolutely. I think one of the most important parts of the Gorman arc was the end of that voice asking, is anyone out there? Does anyone hear? So we're happy to be part of Spread the Word. And people do want to know the tally. We'll share it. We'll be honest. We're just about $850, which is tremendous and generous. We appreciate you all there today. Well, that is it, my friends. That is it. We'll be back Monday live at 12 noon our time Pacific to talk about changes in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think some of it's good. Some of it was inevitable. And, I can't wait to get back. But a lot more to discuss. Jennifer will be back on the show. Thank you all for tuning in, watching, listening. We'll see you next time here at ForceCenter.